Good morning and welcome to our online session today. It's my delight to invite you into our virtual session. First of all, I didn't do my relationship building stuff yesterday, or excuse me, in the first slide. So I hope you all enjoyed your fall break. I am for the next 7 days in a quasi research learning position myself. Um, let's get started today. On this slide, we're preparing you for the online the symposium, not online, on the symposium. Dr. Willis will be with us beginning on Monday and then again on Wednesday, and he will be giving us some information and conducting a symposium for the first year teacher surrounding human resources, teacher accountability, and school choice. So the subsequent slides after this one, we're going to focus on you as the interviewer, interviewing your professional. I will provide you with some sample questions. I want you to hear my heart. I think we cannot, if we are going to effectively guide students in the process of learning and in the process of attaining knowledge, we must become masterful conduits of coaching and dialogue to get or to allow students to birth self-seeking knowledge, if you will. So that's why I'm giving you the opportunity to present your interview project in whatever way you deem appropriate. In class, I'm going to share an example of some Prezi presentations. Some people chose to go the traditional route of typing up the interview report, but I'm giving you that option as a learner to display your teacher interview project in the manner that you deem most appropriate. So Dr. Chris Willis is a graduate from the doctoral program at Indiana University. He has been mentored, tutored by some great academic minds. Most notably, Dr. James Anderson was one of his professors, and Dr. Anderson is now the dean. I think he's the dean of education at the University of Chicago, a major university, which is an honor and privilege. Dr. Willis has added so much value to me as a learner. Please understand, when you get to the doctoral level of learning is the style of learning that should be taking place K on up through college. At the doctoral level, we own our learning. Our professors don't check to see if we've read our assignments. They don't monitor us in terms of our progress toward our research. However, they provide us with ways of attaining and dialogue, facilitating dialogue and ownership. In Dr. Willis's class, we had to read a book called, as well as a plethora of articles, we had to read Organizational Change. He lectured very little of the time. It was all of the learning took place from us, doctoral students. We presented on chapters, and I presented on the chapters of transforming organizations, and that learning was so much more meaningful. Why am I saying this to you? These are some of the things that I want you to model in the classroom setting. If the teacher owns all of the learning, if the teacher is responsible for the dissemination of knowledge, then the teacher becomes the master of the knowledge and the students become the passive recipients, in which it really will not have as much meaning. So that is going to be the style of learning or style of presentation for your teacher interview project. When Dr. Paulkin was with us facilitating the school law symposium, many of you had questions about human resources. You had questions about hiring. You had questions about layoffs. You had questions about firing. And Dr. Palkin's presentation was more from a law perspective. Dr. Willis has been in high school assistant principal, high school principal, and he actually worked at central office. So he is able to provide us with a very unique perspective on how the first year teacher can navigate the area of human resources. What is the process of staff reductions? What is the process of laying off teachers, especially when you have collective bargaining or teachers union agreements? These are very critical conversations or critical elements that we need to explore when we think about the first year teacher. Because when you think about the new teacher, if a levy doesn't pass, it used to be in many districts, and some still are, that the last one hired are the first ones let go. Well, in recent years, some unions and school districts have been negotiating a varied or a divergent process for staff reductions and layoffs. If there is a high need area that a new teacher, is in jeopardy of being laid off, normally in the mathematics, sciences, then there are guidelines that will allow them to retain their positions because they are in a high need area, and particularly special education. So you might have questions for Dr. Willis on human resources, the role of human resources in hiring, the role of human resources in staff reduction, and even the role of human resources in your everyday work as an educator. One other thing that I want to say about human resources, and human resources was responsible for the execution of the provision under No Child Left Behind, which was to certify with the federal government, with the state and federal government, that all of the teachers within our classrooms were highly qualified, HQT, and that process is facilitated by human resources. Dr. Willis will also talk about teacher accountability. I think we've already begun the process when we, first of all, let you know what the teacher data looks like and how you can access data. But particularly the tool by which you will be evaluated, which is the OTES rubric, as I stated in a previous session. And I don't want to make this video too long because I don't want to lose you. But it's relevant for your product, which will be at the end of this particular video. But as I was saying, teacher accountability, the OTES rubric, that even though some of you might join an urban school district or a large school district where there's an alternative evaluation process for you as a new teacher, you will continue your praxis certification with the state because you will have a provisional license. You will have some things that you will need to do at the state level, but school districts still, as a part of Ohio Revised Code, school districts are responsible for evaluating their teachers. And in urban districts, new teachers are evaluated by a peer, typically a program housed through the local teachers association, the union. In Columbus, it was called the PAR program, peer review, peer assistance and review. In Toledo, it's I don't know the acronym, but it's basically a mentoring process where a peer will evaluate the teacher. And like I said, in most cases, new teachers pass with flying colors. Now, what's different about Toledo in the second year, the principal has significant power to non-renew a teacher if they are not meeting the standard. Of course, you have the burden of paperwork and documentation on what we did to support teachers, but there is a process. So your first years of teaching are your most important. So that's the school accountability choice. And Dr. Willis is going to talk about school choice. I'm running. I get so excited that I may have minced my words, but school choice is another area that we all should be really watching, because particularly the Republicans are supporters of charter schools and private entities effectually running schools for profit. Remember, everything is a business from K to 12. The assessments that you take to be certified, the assessments that students take, ACTs, SATs, These are money making tools, and they are built in as gatekeepers to allow people in, or to a degree keep people out. But what are the implications if charter schools become more pervasive? Betsy DeVos, the new director or new U.S. Department of Education director. She has very unique ideas about how charter schools should be allowed to expand. These are questions that you might want to consider asking Dr. Willis. So at the end of this slide, or while you're watching this video, above the video, there's a link to a live Google Docs where I will have you list your question. Because there's so many of you, one question please, but make it good. And please proofread your question. And if your question is kind of complex, give an example so Dr. Willis can have some pretext to answer your question suitably for you. I'm expecting that it's going to be a phenomenal symposium. Again, I'm more concerned with your development as an effective educator versus giving you a bunch of rote tasks wherein I know you can write a paper. You wouldn't have gotten this far. Now, some of you, your writing could stand a little more technical prowess, but for the most part, you made it to this level, so that means you know how to write. I'm more concerned about preparing America's classrooms with effective educators. So at the end, when this video is over, click on the link above. And yes, for my students, I did make sure that you can edit. Put your name. I have an example of how I want you to format your question. So that's the end of this slide. Click on the Google document, and that will count as both your attendance and your participation. And understand this, the YouTube video shows me who actually watched the video. And it is the expectation that if I'm assigning you or we're engaging in an online session, watch the video. You can do other homework while you listen to the video. Shoot, you can take your computer, your iPad, or your phone and wash dishes. I don't care. Watch the videos that we post in online sessions. The next few sessions for the rest of this week and Monday and Wednesday of next week will all be online. But they will all be relevant for things you will have to immediately deploy for final products of this class. Thank you for engaging on this slide. Please go to the next slide.